spent last evening and part of today crafting that first affirmative constructive speech, right? So this is what I want you to do. We are going to set a timer. Well, are we going to set a timer? Yep. Yeah. We are going to set a timer. Pretend whoever you've decided is going to give this first affirmative constructive speech, pretend that you have just delivered it in a debate round. Okay? Your partner then, whichever one of you isn't going to read that speech, you are going to pretend to be the negative, and you're going to ask questions. Affirmative speaker, answer the questions. Try and use the cross-examination tips that we just talked about. Okay? Do you have any questions? All right. Cross-examination starts now. Okay? I'll say it took some of us a little while to get started, so we're going to add 1 more minute to the clock. Okay? Because you want 3 minutes of cross-examination. So keep going. Okay. We are going to stop now, actually. Okay? How was that? How was that for you? I guess what I was hoping you would do is pretend that that affirmative constructive speech had been read and ask questions. Were all of you reading that first affirmative constructive speech? Okay, that's my fault. I'm sorry. So what I want you to do then is, you know what your first affirmative constructive speech is. You've spent time preparing it, right? I want you to pretend that that speech has already been read in the debate round, okay? And based on that, whoever will read that speech for you when you do your debates, defend it in cross-examination, be prepared to answer questions. The other person in your partnership should ask questions. So don't read that speech aloud, pretend that it's already been read. The other opponent the other partner should ask questions for the negative. Okay? All right, that's my fault, I'm sorry. So we're going to do that now. Do you have any questions about what we're doing? We're not presenting the first affirmative constructive speech. We're just doing cross-examination. Okay? All right, so I'm going to reset the timer for 3 minutes. Ready?
Did that feel like a really long time? No, it felt really short. That was 3 minutes. So that's how long you'll get when you get to do it in the round, right? Did you like it? How did you feel about it? What did you learn doing this? Now remember though what Jake said is that the most important thing is that you understand what they're saying. That way in your constructive speech, you make sure that you're making the correct arguments in response, right? So if they were reading Small Farmers, but you understood it as the soft power advantage, do you see what I'm saying? You obviously won't have any that big of a misunderstanding, but you want to make sure that you know and understand their story and use your prep time for that before you get them to admit things. Right. Okay? While getting them to admit is great, and that's what we want, we have to understand first. But it's a really, like, how much do I make them explain to me before I go on to those other questions?
When you are answering cross-examination questions, so if we're going to use that example that we've been working with, where if I'm reading this water advantage for the affirmative, and Shanna asks me, you have this part of your evidence that talks about how there are other causes to water pollution. Can you explain that? Or can you solve for all of water pollution, yes or no? Well, I know then, based on this question, that in the next speech, the negative team is going to make an argument about how there are all these other causes. Or she might ask me another question after this about how we can't solve all of water. So just like Koki said, you have to start anticipating this idea. Try to predict what your opponent's arguments are going to be based off of the questions that they are asking you. That's good.
It's just like when you play chess or checkers. When you move your piece, you're always thinking, where's my opponent going to move next? What do I need to make sure is, do I need to defend something? Do I need to attack something? So you have have to. You can't just be focused on yourself. You do have to be focused on your opponent too.